clear about something. I am a fairly private person, and that's particularly true where adversity is concerned. I have become a little more interested and a little more able to share my experiences with people when I think that they will be beneficial to them, but I really don't like sharing adversity. But I want to say right at the moment that I'm going through some difficult times in my life, and that the government is part of that problem. But I won't get into too much on that today. I don't really care to. What I want to talk about today is another subject that sort of relates to that, and it's the subject of government largesse. That's what I'm going to talk about today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, Tom Curtin. Today is Thursday, the 26th of May of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com. On minds.com. On the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there. That should be the only place you'll see me today. On Parler, on Gab, and on Twitter, or wherever else you happen to be catching me. Subject for today, again, is going to be government largesse, and I'm going to take my time and go through my notes very quickly. As is often true, I was listening to one of the folks I normally pay mind when I heard them talk about a local politician who was beginning programs to provide funding or other programs to benefit people in terms of home ownership. The long and short of what they seemed to be saying was government would make it possible for folks to pay down payments and closing costs on homes they desired to purchase but couldn't afford. There are a few things I want to say about this. To begin with, if the money used to do such things is coming out of taxes, this is no less a distributionist scheme than tax credits for poor people, or student loan forgiveness, or Obama phones, or whatever it happens to be, right? No less the case. Welfare of various kinds. And again, somebody is paying. This is something Bongino likes to say, and he points out that I think it was Milton Friedman said this at some time in the past. Somebody is paying, whether it's the person who doesn't get the loan repaid or the person who paid the taxes, whatever it happens to be, somebody is paying for that thing, whatever it is. We need to understand that whether government is national or local is beside the point. They still get their, quote, their money from people who they supposedly represent. That means they don't have any resources themselves. All of that comes from you if you're paying taxes or are some other source of government revenue. The next issue on my mind is this. Years ago, when, to be frank, I couldn't afford it, I started buying a house. I'm in that same location still today, working hard on 20 years later. I had to pay a down payment. I'm pretty sure some sort of closing costs, and I don't know whatever else probably may have been involved in that. And I had to be modest in my expectations since I could only afford so much. Is anybody planning to retroactively pay me for what I chose to do way back then? Hey, I'm ex-military, right? The funny part, I actually hope the answer to that is no. The point here is, though you're talking about offering something to people who haven't done the work for whatever reason, and not people who have. That's what's important. Let me be the first to say this seldom works well. I have to say as well, I've had to scrabble, scrape, and save, and sometimes do some unsavory things to keep the place I've been working to buy. I've had to miss payments and make them up later. I've had to do various things, and it hasn't been easy. This, as many fully understand, has helped me to understand the value of what I have, what little that happens to be, by the way. That's one of the reasons offering such things is not so great a plan, in my opinion. People fail to learn important lessons as a result of being given things for little to no work. I also question who will be making the decision as to who should be getting such a benefit. I know what they're saying I won't get into who it was, but they're talking about firefighters and police and EMTs and various people of that sort. Let me let you in on a little secret. Even if the people doing so today are good people, making sound decisions, you can't be sure that will continue to be the case. That's particularly true when power changes hands and policies, as they invariably do, change. I want you to understand, I'm not saying there can't be and maybe shouldn't be private programs to do the things discussed. Though I have some problems with that idea as well, some of which are the same as for the government programs that will potentially come into existence. It's your money, though, whether you collected it from others on a voluntary basis or not. How you spend it is pretty much your choice. That's not the case with politicians and bureaucrats, though. They're not spending their money, they're spending my money. And yours, of course. I don't care who it's for. When the government spends money on people that doesn't belong to them, except in very specific circumstances, and really just most of the time, they're wrong. You may think this kind of thing sounds like a good idea for government to spread its largesse. Permit me to disagree. Okay, done with my notes. Look, here we are with look again. When people like me didn't go to college because we knew we couldn't afford to get student debt going on that was going to make us have to pay that back and really would not have increased my earning potential substantially over what I'm making today. When other people were offered the opportunity to go to college, whether I wanted to go or not is not the point, by the way. But when they were offered the opportunity to do that, and then they were told they were going to have even some percentage of their loan forgiven, you'll permit me to tell you that that irks me no end, because I got to the point where I was making reasonably good amounts of money without that college degree through things that I did to make that possible. I worked hard to get where I got, and now you're telling me I need to pay for those individuals who went to college, many of them who will never use that degree for anything meaningful. I cite again the lady who had, I forget, an English degree or something, maybe a psychology degree, and ended up as a manager somewhere doing nothing related to what it was that she was trained to do. And I know many, many people like that. In the Air Force, I knew a lady who was managing a student squadron on an air base, and she was a French major in college, as I get it. She majored in French language. So what she did really was not particularly helpful to her. But I shouldn't be paying for those people. I'm sorry. Oh, you want to buy a house? Learn the discipline necessary, and trust me, I wasn't great at it when I had to do it, to get that house. Please don't expect me to pay for it for you. But if I happen to do so, know that I'm doing it as something that I feel is a reasonable thing, and I've taken the time to decide whether or not that's something that God's put on my heart, or whether it's something that I believe you deserve and I'm able to help you to get it. That's the point. This is what you need to understand. When government does this sort of thing, I'm going to say this again, and I've said a number of things and I'm not even going to cover all of them again, but when government manages programs like this, even if they start out with the best of intentions and with really good people managing them, what is going to happen in the course of time is somebody's going to end up managing them who's just a bureaucrat somewhere and who looks at the rule book and says this is how things go. Or worse yet, somebody who's going to decide, I like these people, I don't care about those people, and that individual will then give the loan money or whatever it happens to be to people who are maybe not deserving at all. And they may squander it, by the way. That's certainly possible. That's certainly something they may do. The point of all of this is, though, government largesse isn't government's to begin with. It's yours. It's mine. If we pay taxes, that's where that money comes from. And we don't give that money to government. It's like I say to people, and this is a funny thing, but I want to bring it up. When my phone company says, oh, thank you for giving us money that we can send to charity, I don't want you giving money to charity. If I want money to go to somebody, I'll make sure it gets there. I don't want government doing that. I don't want companies of various kinds doing that. I'm sorry, I don't want you to do that. You will not make sound decisions, in my opinion, about what should be happening as far as that's concerned. Government, in my opinion, is no different whether you call it charity or you say that they're just offering the opportunity to do things, whatever you say, however you put that. And by the way, what they're trying to do primarily is curry favor with people in terms of what they're actually getting and doing. And this is what I need for you to understand. They're not doing things that are meaningful or reasonable. They're just not. Okay. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Thursday, the 26th of May of 2022. Getting ever closer to the weekend. Tomorrow then will be Friday, the 27th of May of 2022. That beginning of the Sabbath at sundown tomorrow. And also the end of the work week for those of us that work Monday to Friday. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, on minds.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you happen to be hearing or seeing me today. Subject for today has been government largesse. Tomorrow we're going to talk on the subject of playing their game, and I want to talk about people saying, well, we ought to impeach so-and-so because they did it, so why shouldn't we? And I want to tell you why that's not a good idea. That's what I want to talk about tomorrow. Hope you're doing well today. Hope everything is going well for you. And hopefully we will see you again on Friday, the 27th of May's edition. That's tomorrow's edition of 2022, obviously. That's tomorrow's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Thursday, the 26th of May of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. minds.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group. And Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S. .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you know I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's as well.